Welcome to Learn the Sword. A lot of students out there, they go, I'd like to use a short sword. I love a short sword. Short swords are hard to work in, but after you get your right hand down, then you work on your left side, you become ambidextrous, and then all of a sudden the whole 360 degrees around you is open season. That's how nice it is. If you go from a long sword to a short sword, perfect the short sword, then go to Nito Ryu or double swords, now you're like Miyamoto Musashi in a crowd of people. Everybody stands back because by then your rote memory is set in, you have all your angles and patterns down, and moreover, you're using the sword like a man with one hand and you're swinging out accordingly. Now, to get to that point, you gotta start off with a small spoon before you get to a ladle. It's just that simple. And you get that experience using a small item, and then later you can go to a larger one. That is why over in Japan, they have them start off with shorter swords. Not in this day and age, but a long time ago, because Dad's short sword was basically a child's longer sword to play around with. And that meant that in the shortest amount of time, at the youngest amount of age, they started indoctrinating them how to use weaponry. It's that simple. But using a short sword is really, really nice, especially if you have an injury. You know perfectly well that if my left shoulder hurts because I've been using the long sword too much, I'll go to a short sword or a shoto, a small wooden sword, and then I'll start doing patterns that way off my right and left side. Maybe I might have an injury in my leg and I can't move. So I'll find out that I can sit down and I can just draw the sword on a stool over and over and over again. So what I'm trying to say is, no matter what excuse, no matter what injury, no matter what aspect that troubles you with the sword, you can always work your way around it and become polished on the other side and work your way back. It's that simple, because at the end of the day, it goes full circle. And it takes about 60 to 80 years to go full circle. I can honestly say that. But in the shortest amount of time, you will be proficient. So you say to yourself, well, if I'm using a short sword and I'm learning how to draw it and work it in really nicely, and I start doing this, how does this apply to today? I can't take a short sword out and carry it down the street. No. But you do what the samurai did, is you have a fan in your belt. And you go, oh, that sounds really good. I have a fan in my belt. Well, I'm going to look like a real tropical punch today. What they did with the fan was, it was a tactical instrument that kept them cooler, but they used the same techniques with a fan as they did with a sword, and you'd be amazed what sorting patterns can do with a different inanimate object. Therefore, since we don't really have fans in this new day and age, what we do is we use something almost as simple. We take a magazine, which is easily can be found. We roll it up from the spine outward, and then we have a new weapon that you can use sword patterns with, like they used to use with a fan. Then you'll be able to apply it. And I know perfectly well that I've taught enough magazine and short weapons classes that I know that you could take out a whole group of bikers with a magazine. It's that simple. It is. Nevertheless, when we're drawing the sword, we need to learn that since the sword is a little smaller, we have to treat it as such. And treating it as such is sort of like, say you're playing this big cello, and then you go to a violin. And the differences are a lot. But remember, you're going to make lots of mistakes, so go ahead and make them. But if you're going to work this in, be smooth, working your hands in, bringing your elbows in, making sure everything's tight, bring it in this way, and throw out the sword. See how I'm cradling the sword? I'm not grabbing the sword, but I'm actually cradling it underneath, so you can't see my thoughts and intentions when I lift the sword up like this. Where most people, being inconsistent, they're going to go like this and pull it out and go, oh, Shihan, which is great in a comedy movie, but not when there's someone coming at you in steamrolling speed. So look at the difference here. I come in underneath, bring hands, I pull out the sword and I make the cut. It's that simple. So if I walk into it like this and I bring it around like that, just straight in there like that. It's just a simple pattern. Just simple pattern. But if you start working it today with wood, bamboo, an Iaito or even a Shinken, you'll start working your shoulders, so you'll find out that you're not cutting with your hands anymore. And that's why you're doing all these big movements. No, it's all about the tip of the sword getting to its mark, and the person behind it really doesn't matter, because this is the scary thing and this isn't the scary thing. This is just the honed animate object getting the inanimate object to the target. So if I bring it in this way, and I made that little extra because a vehicle just drove by. And with that, have a great day.